Hello, everyone, and happy Ascension Day. Today is 40 days from Easter Sunday, and that has traditionally been the day that the church has celebrated the ascension of Jesus from earth into heaven. Well, it's always been a day that has seemed kind of odd to me because we're so insistent and so consistent when we say that Jesus is with us always. After all, that's what Jesus said at the end of Matthew's gospel when he gave the disciples the Great Commission. He said, "I am with you always until the end of the age." So, how can it be that Jesus is with us always if he has ascended into heaven? Well, perhaps our common understanding of heaven being somewhere else, somewhere far away, somewhere way up in the sky, somewhere that we hope to get to one day, but that we know we are nowhere near to now, isn't exactly the image of heaven that we read from the New Testament writers. Those who were in our Wednesday Bible study recently completed a journey through Bishop N.T. Wright's book, Surprised by Hope. Now, in that book, we encountered this very question over and over again as we looked carefully at what the New Testament writers meant when they talked about resurrection, heaven, and hope, and what their understanding of that might have to do with our current life and our current situation. Bishop Wright lifted up a view of heaven and earth, a view that calls for heaven and earth to come together, to overlap, to not be far apart, but close. Jesus seemed to hold that same view when he instructed his disciples to pray, "Your kingdom come on earth as it is in heaven." Now, as we look at the Ascension story and wonder how it is that God can be with us and ascended, this coming together of heaven and earth is again a helpful understanding. Might we recognize that Jesus' ascension into heaven means more than some kind of holy elevator ride on the clouds to a faraway place from which one day Jesus will return? I think we might also understand that in Jesus' ascension, Jesus is lifted up to the throne room of heaven, to the place from which God rules over all that is. In this way, we might also understand that Jesus' rule over us makes us his presence for the sake of the world. With Jesus in heaven, we know that God's plan is the plan that is being enacted, that the reconciliation, redemption, and renewal begun and made possible by Jesus' death and resurrection has now been passed on to us to put into action on behalf of our Lord, who has ascended to the throne. He's in the driver's seat. He's the one who is on the throne, and we live for him and through him, and we're called to live like him today for the sake of the world. Might we understand that in this way, Jesus has ascended to power, to authority, to rule, to the highest place, to the foremost place, that he might live and rule and be over all. And he, the one who is over all, has called you to live for him. Happy Ascension Day, and keep living the story.